Full and uncut versions available on Patreon. Check in the description below.
Greetings once again, Pokemaniacs. Duuz-Diz-Din back again with more of the Pokemon Adventures manga. The Black 2 and White 2 arc, where previously Blake of the International Police is undercover trying to investigate the remnants of Team Plasma who still believe in N's ideal, looking for a microchip that could help to counter the new Team Plasma, led by Colress and Getsus in the shadows, who seek complete domination over Pokemon through a special device Colress has created. The only counter? The microchip. So Blake investigates Whitley, a young mysterious girl who is in fact Team Plasma, as well as the one who holds said microchip. But Blake is having a tough time getting her to warm up to him. She's apprehensive of using the Pokédex, not made any better when they're attacked by Caldeo, still without the other Swords of Justice. A trip to Pokestar Studios where they both participate in a movie. Pokestar Studios helped created by White. Acting alongside Bryson when one of the props goes haywire, Blake helps her out of a bad situation, but she still doesn't feel any better towards him. After the class returns from the field trip, Whitley drops her pendant and it's picked up by Hugh, discovering the microchip with data inside about Pokemon Team Plasma liberated, including the Pokemon of Hugh's sister, taken years ago, and the whole reason why Hugh is obsessed with growing stronger, so that nothing else is ever taken away from someone he cares about. Now knowing that there's a member of Team Plasma in his school, Hugh is determined to track them down. So unbeknownst to her, Whitley is being hunted down by two different parties. Who will find her first, and what will happen when they do find her? Join me as I find out, won't you? Alright, Pokemon Adventures Black 2 and White 2 Volume 2 / Volume 53. If you're going by the original titling, you have, I believe that's Black Kyurem in the background there. Whitley in her Team Plasma uniform. It's actually pretty cute in it. And then you got Hugh and Blake in the background. And it's actually been a while. One of my favorite Pokemon is on the cover, and that's Gliscor. Good stuff. Alright, we're already off to a great start. Let's jump in. Alright, it's adventure number 8. Legendary Tornadus. Who's that Pokemon? Tornadus. Therian form. Part 1. Okay, so we're already starting to see their other forms. I gotta say, the Weather Trio, their alternate forms kind of freak me out. Just like their big, muscular, beefy forms were just like, okay, I get it. But seeing their more animalistic transformations, I don't know, something about it kind of throws me. Is this some kind of dream? Whitley is rushing through a void, shouting, N, N, N. As she runs to the figure of N, she says, are you back? She takes off her hood, saying, I've been waiting for you. I've missed you. The figure grins, but still remains silent. Whitley hugs the person, saying, oh, N. Oh, but the voice that calls out to her takes her by surprise as they say, thank you. Never dreamed this could be possible. This is awesome. You finally realize how I feel about you. Whitley looks to the person saying, huh? As the figure turns out to be Blake, who says, now we can be more than just friends. And now. The figure moves in as Whitley panics and then shouts, having woken up from her dream. I'm trying to remember the girls' names. I think the 3 girls who are now friends with Whitley walk to her door. I think it's Maya who says, what's wrong, Whitley? Yuki who says, a spider. Is it a spider? Why would it be a spider? I think it's Yukio who says, or is it Hugh? Like, come on. Hey, it would be a reason to panic if that were the case. Whitley very somberly cracks open the door, peeking out. Yuki asks, are you alright? Whitley says, I just had a nightmare, that's all. So sorry. Slams her door and slumps to the floor. saying, oh, this isn't good. Wow, I didn't realize her hair was that long. My goodness. But then again, I guess that does make sense. It wouldn't be able to fit in those big old buns otherwise. Just like friggin' Leia bun she's got going on. And they still manage to droop kind of to the floor, don't they? I mean, not to the floor, but to her shoulders. So the combination of the big hair buns and everything else, that does make a bit of sense, I think. Oh no, they go actually to her hips, pretty much. So yeah, no, her hair would be long to have both the buns and everything else. Ah, man, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, so she got long hair. But Whitley says, this isn't good. She sighs, saying it was a dream, just a dream, but they say what you dream reveals what's in your heart. Does that mean that oh man, this poor girl getting played with. She thinks of Blake, thinking, could I possibly have feelings for him? He was dazzling in my dream. She jumps onto her bed saying, no, it's not what you think, it's not what you think. And as she goes reaching for her pendant in her nightshirt, she says, I've always only wanted to be with you. But then she pats herself down and in shock says, it's gone. She looks through her room saying, gone. My locket with N's photo, it's gone. She clutches the underside of her table? Her desk? As her fungus shrugs, Whitley says, I'm being punished. It's because I dreamt about another boy. This is karma, I know it. Oh, this poor girl. She has too much stress in her life. Seems relatively windy this day. Sharon is, he's in the auditorium saying, he answers his cross communicator saying, hello, Whitley? Sure, I can talk now. What? Shouldn't I be teaching class? Nope, we're preparing and rehearsing for the choir tournament today and tomorrow. That's right, the students are excited. They see several students getting prepared. Sharon tells her they're really hyped up. But then he hears a commotion. Says, We see a very angry Hugh growling as he scowls at a very scared Yukio Maya, who shouts no, although Yuki just kind of gives as good as she gets, scowls right on back. You go, girl. Like, don't take none of that. Sharon comes over, worried, saying, hey, you, what are you doing? Hugh says, Mr. Sharon. Maya says, he's being a creep. Yuko says, he's been staring at us since this morning. And Yuki says, and sniffing us too. Hugh shouts, oh, it's not. Hugh is not gaining any friends. Chirin drags him away, saying, calm down, away from the scowling girls. And it's not just them, but they're the most prominent girls. Leo says to himself, Hugh has been acting strange the past few days. Another boy comes up saying, hey, Leo. Leo says, what's up? Two boys come up. The skinnier of the two says, have you heard anything about the chairs for our guests and the amps and the speakers? The larger of the two says, they're supposed to be delivered here today, right? Leo says, yep, but they're late. Skinnier one says, we got rehearsal tomorrow morning, but at this rate, we won't have time to set everything up by then. Blake calls out, should I go check on the equipment? Leo questions, are you sure you don't mind, Blake? Blake says, my assignment is to set up the equipment when it arrives, but I don't have anything to do until it gets here anyway. And look, it's been really windy since this morning. Maybe the traffic is bad because of that. Okay, so it is windy outside. Gotcha. Blake says, I'll come back as soon as I get some news. Leo tells him thanks gratefully. Okay, I'll let Mr. Sharon know. Then he just, out of nowhere, grabs Whitley, saying, come on, let's go, Whitley. Everyone around, including Whitley, says, huh? You take up on Route 20 with Looker, observing the bridge on the route. He says, there he is, the inspector. And he brought the target as well. As we see Blake and Whitley struggling against the wind down the route, as Looker remembers, I guess the briefing he and Blake went over the previous night. Blake showing Looker a monitor saying, Looker, you have an important mission today. I received a report about a sighting of one of the seven sages, Galileo. Looker says, what? Blake tells him, they're meeting in his room. We have to take him into custody no matter what. I'll come up with some reason to sneak out of school. I need you to wait for me on Route 20. Don't approach me when you see me. Looker questions, why not? Blake says, I'm working undercover, remember? Even if I need your help, You have to maintain our relationship as civilian and police officer. Never forget that. Looker salutes saying, yes, sir. He and his Krogunk salute. Blake, still holding Whitley's hand, says, the wind is getting even stronger. Meanwhile, Whitley's heart is racing a mile a minute, seeing their hands touching, as she thinks to herself, what should I do? I can't stop thinking about him or my dream. Oh, this poor girl. Whitley then asks apprehensively, why did you bring me out here with you? Blake says, well, if the subcontractor is in trouble, we'll probably need more than one person to resolve the problem. And then he says, just kidding. As Whitley blushes up a storm, Blake turns, saying, to tell you the truth. Oh, Blake, wait, what? Huh. Blake pulls out something, and it's a present. Blake says, happy birthday. Whitley says, no, I can't let you give me this. Blake asks, why not? Whitley says, we don't have that kind of relationship. Blake questions, what kind of relationship do we have? Do we need to have for you to accept the gift from me? Whitley says, but Blake pulls it away, saying, okay, I'll wait. I'll hand it to you after we deal with this blowhard. He says, looking up at Tornadus, who's, well, glaring down at them. Duaz at the ready. Blake hands over the gift, saying, hide behind that bridge, Whitley. As Tornadus attacks, Blake and his Duaz managing to dodge out of the way. Then something shines in the distance. Blake takes notice of this as Tornadus glares at it and then transforms into Etherian form. Looker, still observing, says it changed shape. Cyclone Pokemon Tornadus. It appeared when the Pokemon League was attacked by Team Plasma 2 years ago. Has it changed its form since then? Tornadus continues to attack, and as Blake and his Duat run, Blake says, the form change was caused by that light. I bet that flash of light was the reflection from a mirror. It said that when Tornadus's, Thundurus's, and Landorus's images are reflected in a special mirror, an alternate image appears in it. That image triggers them to change their form. That's wild. I read about it in the International Police Database. A mirror like that is extremely rare, but I never imagined that Team Plasma would have already gotten their grubby paws on it. He then commands Duat to use Razor Shell, but Tornadus manages to dodge. Blake tells his Duat, it's fast as Genesec's high-speed flight form. Now, okay. So Duat then uses Aqua Jet to propel the Razor Shell at Tornadus, but still Tornadus manages to dodge. Looker, still observing, says he used Aqua Jet to speed up the shell, but it still dodged the attack. Sightings of Gylo have been reported in this area, so there's a good chance that he's the one controlling Tornadus. But where is he then? I know. That girl truly is a Team Plasma member. She reacted, she sees someone affiliated with the Seven Sages. That's why the inspector brought her here. It's my job to watch how she reacts, so that he can concentrate on fighting his battle. Tornadus sends out a couple of energy balls, with Blake and his Duat once again barely managing to dodge. Blake says using Air Slash twice at the same time. Quite a formidable opponent. I guess I'll try out these two's combination attack. He brings out a Pokeball. Wait, what? When? Looker sees this and says, what? That's the inspector. Says, when did he capture a new Pokemon? Blake says, it's your first battle. Let's go. Keldon, as he brought out Keldeo. What? Keldeo? I was actually kind of spoiled by this in the comment, but I thought we'd at least see when it happened. Okay. How did this happen? When did this happen? They're just caught up. What is Keldeo? Keldeo. He's a mythical type Pokemon. Yeah, to just have up and caught him. That's kind of wild. He's just already using it too. Okay. Okay then. Alright, the next chapter is Adventure number 9. New Sword Player, Tornadus Therian Form Part 2. And now, Keldeo's already listening to him too. Now Blake commands both Duat and Keldeo. He tells Duat to use Razor Shell and Keldeo to use Sacred Sword. Hey, what was it that Keldeo saw in him? Because I thought maybe Keldeo had taken a disinterest in humans after what happened to the Swords of Justice. Did Blake maybe make a promise with Keldeo? Well, Tornadus manages to dodge the two attacks, but Razor Shell just kind of boomerangs around Tornadus, getting it in the wing and heading back to Duuz-Diz-Din. Looker says, amazing. A timed triple attack. When did he prepare this? Blake tells Keldeo, good combination, Keldon. Last night's training has paid off. While Keldeo thinks, it's human. Reminds me of my mentor. I was really shocked when I met him last night at Pledge Grove. But then, as we see in the flashback, Keldeo sleeping, a coin is flung. As Keldeo takes notice, it hits the pledge rock that he was at previously with his mentors. Keldeo wakes up saying, who's there? As Blake exits the grass, he says, I knew it. This place holds some kind of special significance to you, doesn't it? I felt it when you chased us away from here. I could tell that you didn't want us here. Oh, I didn't realize this was so close to that location. Interesting. So it wasn't so much that Keldeo was trying to attack them, just scare them off. Interesting. Blake says that engraving as he tosses another coin towards the carving in the rock. Keldeo brings out his sacred sword, swinging it towards Blake, saying, you aren't worthy to gaze upon it. But Blake easily manages to dodge. Blake says, that move. The sword could have carved this. But you're not the one who made that engraving, are you? You an experience to carve something so exquisite out of stone. Keldeo's taken aback as he says, perfect, beautiful. Keldeo then retracts his sword and looks away dejected. Blake says sympathetically, I'm sorry that provoked you like this. Someone you respect left that engraving on this stone, but whoever it was left before you managed to achieve what they did. Am I wrong? Which is odd because we saw Keldeo make the engraving in the stone. I mean, it would have been one thing if it was just depiction that doesn't feel it fully fleshed out. But it was notable. That's how he became one of the swords of justice, by engraving into the stone. And yet now it's a plot point that he didn't. Oh man, see that goes to really show that the authors were being a little too overworked. As Keldeo shakes his head, Blake holds out his hand with a smile, saying, if you don't mind, I would like to help you master that move. How about it? In return, I'd like you to team up with me. In present day, Keldeo, it's always weird to see, erupts water from his hooves, rocketing forward towards Tornadus. But as Tornadus dodges, we see that Duuz has clung to the underside of Keldeo and goes in with a savage kick to the wound that Tornadus had inflicted on him previously by Duuz's razor shell. Looker says, yes, they attacked the same spot as before. That attack made even Tornadus flinch, as Tornadus winces from the pain and then hooks his eyes to Blake, more than likely because it's just like, you're the one in command here, and then lunges towards Blake. Blake manages to dodge as Tornadus dives below the bridge that he's on. But Blake goes, huh? As we see, wait, what's it doing? Tornadus has gone to the riverside. As Looker questions, it ignored the inspector? Why? But Blake over the comm says, that's simple, Looker. Tornadus' main objective is at the riverbank. The battle against me was never part of its plan. Looker says, main objective? As we see Gylo going scrambling away from Tornadus, shrieking in terror. As Looker sees this, he says, Seventh Sage Gylo. I think it's Gylo. Gylo says, Chorus, I'm the one who captured Tornadus in the first place. I will never accept you as the new king of Team Plasma. Never! See, I really was wondering how this was all gonna go down. The division in Team Plasma or whatever. But no, okay, so the Seven Sages, well, aside from Getz's, really did believe the hype. I thought at least a few of them might have been in on it, but no. Gylo says, I will never accept you as the new king of Team Plasma. Never! Never, I say! As he brings out, what is this, Crocodile? Crocodile. Looker over the comms questions, Chorus is here? Blake says no. He wouldn't play with a new toy while in hiding. He probably gave it to one of his grunts to try it so he could find out if it works. There must be some reason that Chorus can't come here today in person. Looker says, questions, I think you're right. So what do we do now? Blake says, what kind of question is that? We arrest Gylo, of course. It doesn't matter to us why Chorus is after Gylo. However, I need to get rid of Tornadus now. that doesn't interfere with our assignment. Ooh, Tornadus easily overpowers Crocodile, and as Tornadus glares at Gylo, Gylo shrieks as he's suddenly yanked up by Tornadus. But Blake, riding on top of Keldeo, shouts wait and tells Keldeo to use icy wind. Tornadus manages to dodge out of the way of this, only for Duat to come up behind it. Blake tells Duat to use Razor Shell, as Gylo says, "It's no use, you can't defeat it with a scallop." But as Duat tosses the Razor Shell and it hits Tornadus, Tornadus grins, only for ice to emanate from the shell, freezing Tornadus over. How though? Two plasma grunts come bursting out of the bushes, the male saying, "It froze?" The female saying, "Let's get out of here." And she recalls Tornadus. Gylo says, "That boy placed Duat behind Tornadus beforehand so that even if icy wind were to miss, Duat could absorb the attack with its scallop. It's a two-step attack. Wait, who's that?" Suddenly, Looker comes up upon Gylo, saying, "Stop! International Police! Team Plasma 7 Sage Gylo, I'm placing you under arrest." And I believe it's Krogunk who cuffs him. Looker then says, "Oh wait, I need to watch the girl's reactions when she sees him." But Blake comes up with Whitley saying, "Unfortunately, he's fast asleep." Much to Looker's dismay, Blake says Fungus must have panicked and released a bunch of spores. Convenient. Looker then says, "Gylo, have you seen this girl before?" Gylo looks at Whitley sleeping and says, "No." Blake then accesses his cross communicator, saying, "Blake number 2. Wait, shouldn't it be Black number 2? To headquarters. Mission accomplished. You have successfully detained Gylo. Calling for immediate transport. Looker, there's something I need you to do for me." Looker salutes, saying, "Oh, what's that?" Blake points, saying, "Look over there. That's the truck transporting the equipment for the trainer school choir tournament. The driver abandoned it when he caught sight of Tornadus. After I hand Gylo over, I need you to disguise yourself and complete the delivery to the school." Looker says, "Sure thing. What will you do now, Inspector?" Blake turns with a smile, saying, "Me? I've got a date." Looker says, "What?" Oh boy. It is kind of hard to tell if he's kidding or not. If he's just messing with him sometimes. Since he's such a serious person. Is it that his fake persona is kind of rubbed off on him a little? Or does he actually just like dating girls? You then cut to Burbank City, where okay, I know what this is. Whitley is awoken to the sound of really loud music. And she says, what's that sound coming from? Where am I?" As she wakes up to see herself in the middle of a mosh pit. And she then realizes her head is on Blake's shoulder as he says, "Yay, you finally woke up, Whitley? Finally." "Oh, you woke up, Whitley? Finally." Whitley recoils in shock as Blake says, "Sorry for the fright. I thought you'd be happy to be here." He points to the stage saying, "Don't you recognize her? The singer?" Whitley says, "Is that Roxy?" Blake says, "That's right. The girls in our class wanted to invite her to the school festival as a special guest, didn't they? She had a concert today, so I thought we could ask her in person. But first, let's enjoy the music," he says, grabbing her hand and taking her into the mosh pit as they end up leaping from the stage and crowd surfing. Whitley can only think, what's going on? What's happening? Oh my goodness. Later, we pick up with Whitley in her dorm room, utterly exhausted as she's lying in bed saying, "My legs hurt, and so does my back, and my ears are ringing." Forcing an introvert into the wild. Okay, so there's a knock at Whitley's door as a person says, "Whitley, are you in?" Whitley says, "Oh, the RA." The RA hands over the package from Blake, saying, "The man who delivered the equipment left this. Said it was for you." Whitley is aghast as she slumps to the ground afterwards, saying, "What should I do? I should give it back to him, shouldn't I? The wrapping is torn open already." And then she sees what's inside, saying, "An astronomical telescope?" Whitley says, "Huh? This is..." And then she thinks back to her first day, where she said that her hobby is stargazing. She thinks, he remembered? She begins to blush. I don't like her getting her hopes up for someone who's not really interested. I don't know, it's not as charming as Spy Family for some reason. I guess because there's no underlying feeling that Blake actually feels the same. But then we pick up, I guess, a day or two or maybe a week at the choir tournament where we see Hugh's sister, because in no other media does she have any actual name. Yeah, I really wish she had a name in some kind of adaptation. I feel like if he had actually appeared in the anime proper, maybe, but yeah, nah, that's a bit of a no-go here. Bummer. If Hugh's sister arrives saying, "Looks fun. I wonder where my big brother is." Oh, that's the end of the chapter. All right, adventure number 10, choir tournament. Who's that Pokemon? Deerling, which is kind of interesting to me that once again we're dealing with Deerling. Black 2 and White 2 kind of means that we're just kind of repeating a few Pokemon for this. Okay, we pick up at the choir tournament, which is weird to hear a choir tournament, but okay. Got a Patrat and Lillipup on the banner. Someone announces second semester, the early October school event, the autumn choir tournament. Obviously, this is no ordinary choir performance. In this singing competition, the trainers and their Pokemon work together. Oh, it's Bianca reading it. As the trainers sing, the Pokemon use moves like Sing, Round, and Echo Voice. All Pokemon moves that use sound to attack the Pokemon in the opposing choir. What? Also known as the battle. This is a fierce competition. Ooh, this sounds like fun. That is wild. That would be an interesting minigame, though. Oh, there's even brackets? Bianca continues to read it with her. Oh, she still only has a Litwick. Dang it. Or, wait, no, that's a Lampet, right? Yeah, Lampet. She reads the pamphlet saying, 5 classes are participating in the 15th tournament, Class A through Class E. Each class has 30 students divided into teams of 8 to 10. Class C's Sawsbuck team is on its second round already. Ooh, they could win the championship. I hope the winning team comes from Sharon's Class E. Oh, as Bianca passes by one group with a bunch of Chatot, they shout, Class B's team Chatot. We're gonna win. We are so totally, absolutely gonna win this tournament. And you see Bianca actively twitch at this, and then she immediately remembers Black saying, I am so totally absolutely gonna win that tournament. She begins tearing up. Oh, Bianca. She shakes her head, thinking, don't cry, Bianca. I can't cry, I won't cry. There's someone who's suffering more than me, and she hasn't shed a single tear. Thinking to White in her. Bum, 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 bum. Superior. Gotta get it where I can. Oh, suddenly Hugh's little sister approaches Bianca saying, do you know where the Class E students are? Bianca says, not really. The sister says, oh, okay, thanks. And I think she gives a bow and walks off. Oh, no. Bianca says, hold on. I know someone who might. Oh. As she sees Leo, who looks a little depressed. Leo saying to himself, I feel awful. I'm a terrible singer, and I don't want to ruin the competition for the others. Only for Bianca to run up and slap him on the back, saying, hey, you're in cheers class, aren't you? Bianca's tendency to do that is hilarious to me. Just randomly coming up to people and slapping them. Leo says, you're that Pokédex kid. Pokédex kid. And it actually makes me remember that. It's just like, oh, right, Bianca's still like a teenager. Bianca pulls in Hugh's little sister saying, this girl is looking for someone in Class E. Could you take her to them? Leah says, in my class? Bianca asks Hugh's sister, who are you looking for? The little sister says, my brother, my big brother, Hugh. Do you know him? Leo blushes and gets all hot and bothered, saying, oh, you're his sister? Suddenly, an announcement comes over the comms. Round 1, match 1. Class A team Swablu versus Class B team Temple. Okay, so they're actively using those Pokemon. Interesting. The Temple team sings, now it's time for you to use echoed voice. La la la, let your voices be heard. While the Swablu team sings, clouds floating in the clear blue sky. They're just like cotton candy. Clouds floating in the clear blue sky. They're just like cotton candy. And, of course, narrating is Chertano, who says, Class B is singing the song assigned to them. Let our voices be heard flawlessly. The lyrics double as orders to their Pokemon to use echoed voice. On the other side, Class A is returning fire with Cotton Candy, a beautiful round by Swablu. Each class has completed one verse, and now, two Temple have already been knocked out. On the other side, all the Swablu are awake and singing vigorously. The Temple team starts to get a little bit, like stressed as they continue to sing, la la la, let our voices be heard, while the Swablu team sings back, just like cotton candy, just like cotton candy. Chair Taro continues to announce, the song has concluded. Now the judges will evaluate the skill and accuracy of the trainers singing and the Pokemon's moves to determine the winner. Also, as a special guest judge, we have invited Roxy, the gym leader of Burbank City. Roxy, please announce the results of the first match. Shotaro says as he starts to sweat as Roxy has just slammed her foot on the table and waves to the crowd. Yeah, punk rock, kid! I hate that we're not actually probably going to see Roxy battle. Like a battle. I would have loved to have seen her go up against Black. That's the biggest bummer of this. The fact that we're probably not going to get to see Black or, and honestly, anyone, even Black 2, take on Roxy, Marlin, and Sharon once he becomes a gym leader in any kind of official capacity. Roxy grabs the mic and shouts, the winner of the first match, the first round is Class A Team Swablu. Also, I gotta tell you, Roxy introduced way too early. Because the two Pokemon Roxy should have, I know this is not a toxic Pokemon, but it goes with the sound theme. She should have a friggin' Noivern, first of all. Like, Noivern feels like it's really perfect for her. I love Noivern. And more specifically, 2 generations later, and I know she gets it in, 3 generations later. And I know she gets one in Pokemon Masters, a little temporarily. She should have this guy right here. Toxtricity! I love Toxtricity! You have no idea! Like, Roxy was introduced too early! Like, any kind of version of the games that she's introduced to at any other point. I know for some reason we haven't really had a remake of Black and White 2 or Black and White for I guess a number of reasons. And I don't think any other side game has really returned to Unova. I don't think. If there is, let me know. But I would love to have something that brings you back to Unova. Because the Diamond and Pearl remakes, as far as what I've heard, they don't really do a lot to expand on that region. And because with what you're seeing with Legends ZA, you're expanding on that region. You're doing a lot more with that area. And it was Arceus that probably expanded a little bit on the Sinnoh region, right? For Diamond and Pearl, instead of the remake games doing that, which is kind of a bummer because it's just like, oh, that takes place in the past. Unless you're going to mess around with the region's past, then there's no reason to really readdress that. And as far as I know, the manga's not doing anything with that kind of stuff, which is both a bummer, but it also like don't have the manga kid doing too much. But man, I would love to see Roxy return with a Toxtricity. That would be like the match made in heaven. Because I will say Roxy is probably my favorite of the Unova gym leaders. I just love her design. But again, like the moment I saw Toxtricity, I'm like, that is like the perfect Pokemon for Roxy. And then Pokemon Masters has it as her what was it called? There's like a special name for it in Pokemon Masters. Yeah, her Suit Pokemon. Because normally she has Scolipede, which that's all well and good, but I associate like the Scolipede, Whirlipede line more with Berg nowadays than anything else. Like, and having it go to Roxy, it's just kind of like, oh, come on, man. That I get it, but and okay, they more associate Berg with Lee Vanny, which that I can also see pretty. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But even still, because of the manga, I now associate the Scalliope more with Berg. Let me get out of this tangent. As the kids are watching from the backstage, well, more specifically Class E, you have, let me see if I can remember the names, Yuko saying, that's Roxy, all right. Yuki says, what's a professional musician doing here judging our school choir tournament? While Maya says, Whitey. Whitey. Or her name's Whitley, so would it be Witty? I think it would be Witty. I'm going to say Witty just to not have to say the other thing I just said. I feel like somebody's going to get offended by that. Witty, you went with Blake to ask her to be our guest judge, didn't you? Whitley kind of nervously just says, uh-huh. Cut to back when Blake and Whitley met with Roxy backstage saying, you're inviting me to your school festival to judge your choir tournament? Sure, no problem. That's that. I mean, I did at least expect her as a gym leader to be like, you'll just have to Pokemon battle me for it, or something like that. She's just like, yeah, sure, why not? Yuki says, huh? Well, Whitley explains, I was surprised too, but she agreed right away. Yuko says, wow, we fantasize about inviting Roxy to the school festival. While Yuki finishes saying, but we never thought Blake would make our dream come true. Maya says, Blake sure is something. Uh-oh. Oh, Maya, with a smile, thinks, like I thought, he does nice things for everyone. I'm not special or anything. Oh, God. I feel some kind of weird way about the fact that she's becoming more and more endeared to him, but it's all an act. There's no real genuine feelings on Blake's part as far as I know. I mean, I've essentially been told that Blake never really develops as a person as far as I can tell, but I don't know. I guess part of me keeps hoping that we're going to see that maybe there is a part of him that genuinely cares. Whitley then tells her, man, I can never just remember the name Fungus. I'll give that telescope back to him. I shouldn't accept such a gift from him. And Fungus gives a nod. Yuko then says, the second match has begun. We're up next. Yuki starts to panic, saying, where are the boys? I'll enter Blake saying, hey. Well, he's literally bringing along Leo and Hugh by the wrist, saying, sorry. Maya says, stupid Hugh and Leo, where were you guys? Well, Yuki says, here, change into this. Well, Hugh just kind of simply says, sorry, everyone. Which shocks Yuki, Maya, and Yuko. See, I actually managed to remember their names. I'm actually shocked by myself. Managed to remember their names more so than Pokemon names. Yuko says, he apologized. You apologize. Yuki says, it must be a cold day in July, or is this some kind of bad omen? Some kind of omen? A bad omen? Maya says, freaky. Hugh grows angry, saying, hey! Well, Blake pats him on the back, saying, Hugh, she'll hear you. And Hugh growls. The girls say, who'll hear you, huh? Is that Hugh's little sister? As they peek out into the audience, seeing Hugh's sister with Bianca. I hate calling her Hugh's sister like that. Like, she should have a name. Damn it. Maya says, now I get it. He wants to be a good role model for her. That's why he's acting so considerate and responsible all of a sudden. Hilarious. These girls really do know how to poke the bear. Yuki says, okay, we'll pretend you're a model student for now, but only if you say pretty, please. Hugh growls, I'll get you back for this. Yuki says, what was that? While Hugh says, I mean, pretty please. The girls then say, I understand why Hugh is behaving funny, but what's up with Leo? Another one says, isn't it obvious? She's so cute. She's nothing like you. Hugh then shouts at Leo, hey, don't tell me you have a crush on. And Leo starts just... he starts shaking his head vigorously. But the only words he can get out kind of sounds like a kettle just steaming up. Oh, he's hitting a high note, and all the girls are just like, oh, what a beautiful voice. Everyone then slaps on the Jigglypuff heads. Oh no, not Jigglypuff heads. Oh man, Hugh has a face like, oh, my little sister's gonna see me in this. Oh, Yuki says, we might win this tournament after all. Leo's sheer embarrassment is helping him hit those high notes, my god. Chair Taro then announces round 1, match 3. Class E, Team Jigglypuff versus Class A. What is Class A? Loudred? It has to be the Loudred. Or, wait, no. Exploud? No, it's Loudred. Loudred. Exploud is the higher level. Yeah, I was right the first time. The announcer says, with Hugh's underlying emotion and Leo's beautiful voice, tempered by nervous energy, their unique vocal styles help lead Class E Team Jigglypuff to victory. And now for, Chertaro says, the final match. The front-runner Class C Team Sawsbuck versus Class E Team Jigglypuff. Team Sawsbuck's magnificent harmonies and grass whistle not only put their opponents to sleep, but send the audience and judges into a state of slumber as well. So how do you judge if everyone's asleep? On the other side, Team Jigglypuff was never considered to be a serious contender, but to the surprise of even their teacher, Mr. Charon, they've become unstoppable. Gotta love that. The teacher did not, in fact, have a lot of faith in them. Is Leo wearing a Jigglypuff bottom, yet still wearing that other, like, Dragonite or whatever Pokemon bottom that he normally wears? Like, Leo, buddy, how are your bits not swimming in your own sweat by now, man? And then you got Blake in the Jigglypuff head, I swear to God. Looking at the Sawsbuck team saying to his team, we managed to get this far with just singing, but I don't think we'll be able to use the same tactic on them again. He then shouts out, excuse me, Team Jigglypuff would like to add a rhythm instrument for accompaniment. I think it's Chair Taro who says, in addition to piano and guitar, rhythm instruments such as triangles, castanets, and tambourines are allowed. Oh, but they aren't holding anything in their hands. How will they? The Sawsbuck team then sings, spring, summer, autumn, winter, the seasons pass. Spring, summer, autumn, winter, the seasons pass. Meanwhile, on the other side, okay, it's really hard to tell who's who with all this. I think is it Whitley who says, well, she starts to just nod off. Yuki says, they sure are championship material. I think it's Leo who says, it's no good. I'm gonna nod off. Chertaro tries his hardest, saying, Team Sawsbuck's first verse has ended. Ugh. Will Team Jigglypuff be able to combat their sleepiness? Will I be able to combat it? Ugh. You see that Roxy's pretty much already off. That is, until in comes Duot, slapping his scallops together like castanets. The Jigglypuff team that starts to sing, saying, let's start over again. Roxy shouts, ooh, impressive. A scallop castanet. It's woken the team out of their somnambulant state. I know that word, but I've never actually read it before. It's like, wait a minute. While simultaneously underscoring the rhythm of the song, Team Sawsbuck sings again. Spring, summer, autumn, winter, the seasons pass. While the Jigglypuff team sings, find the courage to pursue your dreams again. Your dreams will give you courage. Which, a very ironic song to sing. Like, just making me think of Black. Chertaro shouts, what an amazing exchange of verses. Grass, whistle, and sing are clashing against each other. Blake then says, okay, Maya, when we enter the third verse, I want your Jigglypuff to... Maya says, got it. They sing, find the courage to pursue your dream again. Oh, and then the Jigglypuffs unleash a massive attack simultaneously. Wait, so Maya's commanding the Jigglypuffs? I'm not sure how this all works. Like, why command Maya to do something specific? Chertaro announces, that was so powerful. Their hyper voice made the piano go flying. Oh, the piano. Wait, what? Wait, did they knock the piano into the Sawsbuck? Shouldn't that be illegal? Or was it just the altogether attack? But Chertaro announces, Team Sawsbuck is unconscious. We have a winner. The champions are Team Jigglypuff Class E's Team Jigglypuff are the champions. Charon has risen from his seat in amazement while Bianca holds on to his arm. Roxy shouts, "Congratulations! You knocked me senseless. I enjoyed you rocking out so much that I'm going to give Team Jigglypuff a special recognition award. You just earned entry into the Unova Choir Tournament at Castelia City." Yuki shouts, "Oh wow, we're going on a field trip to Castelia City?" The other girls shout, "Yay!" Meanwhile, the other teams come in saying, "What? Just Team Jigglypuff? That's not fair. Mr. Charon, can we go to cheer them on?" Charon says, well, this is just as sudden for me as it is for you. Roxy then tells them, "No problem. I'll invite all of Class E." "Oh, it's the rest of the class. Ah, gotcha." Charon says, but the travel costs and so on. I'll discuss it at our next staff meeting." Roxy slaps him on the back, saying, "Don't worry about it. I'm sure my pop will take care of everything." "Her pop?" She says, "My father is the captain of the ferry that connects Burbank City to Castelia City, so he knows a lot of people at the local tour companies. And I'll use every connection my band agency has to help out." She then hugs Blake and Whitley, saying, "Yay, I can finally repay my debt to all of you." "Debt? What?" Yuko says, "Repay your..." Well, Yuki turns to Maya, saying, "What did they do for Roxy?" Oh, Blake thinks to himself, "Great." We cut to Burbank City, where, oh, okay, I guess it's the day, where Roxy introduces the captain, saying, "Meet my pop." He says, "I'm Roxy's dad." Pop Roxy? No, it couldn't be. It couldn't be. Wait, hold on. Oh my god, he's actually called Pop Roxy. Although, in Japanese, it's Homika's papa. Wait, is that her name in Japanese? Homika? Oh man, this is like the best kind of introduction. Pop Roxy. Oh, okay, in the games he is a captain. Oh, that's cool. Hey, that's right for Bryson, man. You battle as him? Hold on. He's an aspiring movie star. You're kidding me. Oh, that's actually kind of hilarious. Oh, because the manga has constantly introduced parent characters that sometimes aren't actually in any other form of media. But I actually do love the fact that it's just like, "Hey, it's my dad. Meet my pop." You know, I love the name Pop Roxy. Oh, I'm sorry. That's beautiful. He says, "Oh no." Roxy says, "And this is Blake and Whitley." Pop Roxy says, oh, as he shakes their hands because they were in that movie. Oh no. Because he's being introduced to movie stars, quote unquote. Charon gives a bow, saying, "Thank you so much for arranging all of this and paying for it." Pop Roxy says, "My pleasure. Now climb aboard. You climb aboard too, Doo-Wop Kid and Fungus Girl." Yep, there it is. There it is. That extra little bit of info makes this amazing in my mind. Okay, we see behind Pop Roxy's boat, well, ferry, as it heads off, Looker and his Krogunk are canoeing behind. Over Looker's Looker's phone rings. He answers it saying, "Looker here." Blake says, "It's me." Looker says, "Ah, Inspector." Blake says, "I managed to use this school event as an excuse to leave." We see that Blake is on top of one of the cabins or something. Oh my god, wait. Is Looker's cross communicator inside or on top of the Krogunk's friggin' hat? What the heck? Blake says, "I'll meet you at the Castelia City sewers as soon as I get there." Looker questions, "The sewers?" Blake says, "There's an entrance at some pier near Sky Arrow Bridge." Looker questions, "Are you suggesting that the hiding place of some of the seven sages of Castelia City?" Blake says, "Exactly. A second and third member who are followers of Galio." Followers of Galio or companions? Looker questions, "What? Two of them?" Blake says, "That's right. Seven sages Bronius and Ryoko." "Ryoku? We've got to arrest them during this trip." Okay. Oh, that was interesting. That was actually a very fun chapter. Alright, the next chapter is Adventure 11. Angry Boy. Who's that Pokemon? BHM. So, Hugh. He's got the Angry Boy just down pat. Oh, speaking of which, on the boat, Hugh has a very dejected look. Oh, he's meeting with his sister, below the watch deck or something? His sister says, sorry, big brother, you're mad at me, aren't you? He says, I'm not mad, but I'm kind of shocked that you stowed away on the ferry with us. I'm glad you're healthy enough to do something so daring now, but still. His sister says, you used to call me every day when you first enrolled in the trainer school, but lately you stopped. I got worried. I didn't get to talk to you at all during the choir tournament. He says, sorry. It's all because I saw that memory card. But I can't tell her that. Oh, he thinks to himself, but I can't tell her that a member of Team Plasma might have infiltrated Class E, and that I've been too busy trying to figure out who it is to phone her. After 5 years, she's finally able to do things on her own. I won't tell her anything until I get her purloin back from Team Plasma. He then tells her, oh, well, you got a lot of homework, and we have to organize all the campus events by ourselves, so I was really busy. Anyhow, hide in here. I'll figure out what to do after we reach Castelia City. And so she says, really? You mean I could stay with you until then? He says, yeah. I mean, what else are you going to do now that she's already stowed away? The kids then look out to the sea as they say, wow, look at those skyscrapers. I've never seen one before. Oh, well, Leo comes running down the stairs saying, oh no, I fell asleep. We've already arrived at Castelia City. Hugh's sister looks out saying, Big brother? She then spots Deanna coming her way. Oh, Jesus. Oh, right, because it was the Deanna that actually attacked when her Pokemon was taken. She shrieks and falls over the side of the boat. Leo manages to grab her, saying, you're Hugh's sister, aren't you? Oh, sister means girl. This is a girl. I'm holding a girl's hand. Like, Leo, I don't care what kind of emotions you're having right now. Do not drop the girl into the water. Leo says, can't let go. If I let go, she'll fall into the sea. And his Deanna helps him say, heave ho, heave ho. As she manages to get her on board, he says, I'm sorry I startled you. His sister then says, oh no, I'm the one who should be apologizing. You see, I got attacked by a bad person's Deanna, so it's not your fault. Leo says, Deanna, stay behind me. Don't poke your head out. And the Deanna seems to give a smile about it. Leo says, I don't think there's any such thing as a bad Pokemon. If a Pokemon does bad things, it's because its trainer is bad. The Deanna that scared you would probably have been a nice Deanna if its trainer was a nice person. I like this kid. Leo, you got a good head on your shoulders. And you managed to make it to the top 8 of the Pokemon League, and you got that wisdom? You're gonna go far, kid. See, this is why I would actually like a follow-up too. I'd love to see what Leo's up to, like, after another couple of years pass. You see Hugh peeking his head around the corner as his sister takes in all this information. He then says, may I pet your Deanna? Leo says, go ahead. He loves being scratched under his chin. As she does just that, Hugh approaches, saying, Leo? His sister turns, saying, big brother. Oh, Leo is shocked, saying, Hugh! But Hugh gives a deep bow, much to Leo's surprise, as Hugh says, please don't tell anyone that my sister snuck on board. I'm begging you. Leo says, you? Okay, I won't. But how are you gonna hide her this entire time, though? As they sneak her onto the top of the ship where everyone else is, Sharon says to Pop Roxy, thank you so much for everything. Pop Roxy says, no problem at all. This class really helped turn me around, so I kinda owe you one. Alright then, Roxy, I'll come back and pick you up in a week. A week? Roxy says, great, safe travels, Pop. Sharon then says, Roxy, I heard you say something about repaying a debt to Blake and Whitley before we left. What was that all about? Roxy says, oh, it's just that Pop dreamed of becoming a movie star when he was young, and that dream got rekindled when he visited Pokestar Studios this year. He told me, Roxy, I'm going to quit my job as a sea captain and become a movie star. Roxy looks cute with the little captain's hat on her head, so he abandoned his career and started going to Pokestar Studios every day. But last month, Fungus Girl and Doo-Wop Kid became a big hit. That made him realize that the competition was too stiff, so he gave up acting and came back home. Oh, he gave up? Oh, okay. He says, I owe the two of them for reuniting our family. I mean, that sounds more like a issue of your dad than anything else. Honestly, weirdly enough, her dad makes me think of Jagged Stone if you've ever seen Miraculous Ladybug. A big hit, though, yeah. Whitley says, they're a big hit? Really? Blake pulls up the DVD saying, didn't you hear? It premiered at Pokestar Studios and it's out on DVD too. Oh my god. It's out on DVD. That is wild. Whitley thinks to herself, come to think of it, I remember signing some contracts. Oh, so let me guess, you don't receive any residuals from any of the merchandise and DVD sales. Yes, I wouldn't be surprised. Actually, thinking about it, it's just like, oh, yeah, come in, make your own movies. And if one of them manages to be a hit, we get all the residuals. Jerks. That's Hollywood for you, or Pokestar. Face it, kid, it's Pokestar. But Whitley says, I wanted N to see the show so he'd find me. Oh. That means that Anna's probably seen me doing things like this and like that. She starts to panic, saying, it's not what you think, and I was just acting. The girls then come up saying, with Maya saying, hey, Witty. Hey, Witty. Yuki says, there's no need to be self-conscious. Yuko says, I realize it's a big surprise that you helped Roxy out, but Whitley says, no, that's not it. But Sharon then addresses the class saying, okay, you've got two hours of free time now. Don't forget to return to Prime Pier by 5 sharp tonight. Oh, okay, so they get to just roam around. That's a lot of freedom for middle school students. You know. See, 10-year-olds are kind of like, no, don't let the 10-year-olds just go out and do whatever they want. But 12-year-olds going on 13, they're obnoxious, but my 12-year-old is, she's responsible enough. That tracks a little bit more. I don't know if I'd let them just kind of just roam around unsupervised, though. At least with a little bit of supervision. The kids all say, where are you going? To visit the name rater and get my nicknames rated. Should I buy 1 or a dozen? But Sharon, could you take me to the Castelia City gym? Me too. Yuki then says, what are you? Blakey. I love the little nicknames. Blakey, where are you going? Blake says coolly, I'm going to stay here a little longer to breathe in the fresh ocean breeze. Both Yuko and Maya says, oh, he's so cool. Oh my god. Disgusting. Yuko then says, we'll get you a Castelia coin. Castelia coin? But suddenly someone shouts, hey, are you alright? Oh, what the? Roxy is addressing someone with Hugh, Leo, and Hugh's little sister looking on. Someone who seems like they got sludged. Blake comes up saying, what's up? Who's this, Roxy? Roxy says, he's one of the panel members for the Unova Choir tournament. We were supposed to meet here at the pier when the ferry arrived, but I didn't see him then, and I just found him here now, in this state. The man says, I was walking along the back streets when I got attacked by 2 masked people. They kidnapped my Carablast and headed for the sewers. They declared that they were liberating my Pokémon. This gets the attention of Whitley, Blake, and a very furious Hugh. Like, my god, his eyes just locked in like like something snapped. Hugh then says, Leo, take care of my sister for me, would you? Leo says, me? And his sister calls out to him. But Leo says, don't worry. Leo is one of the top 8 contestants in the Pokemon League. You'll be safe with him. Roxy examines what's on the man, saying, this mucus belongs to Muck. He must have been attacked with a poison-type move. I know some guys who use Muck and Grimer. I bet they're in there. Blake questions, in where? Roxy says, the Castelia City sewer, which you access from Thumb Pier. Blake locks in, while Roxy races off, saying, I'll go get your Carablast back for you. Whirlipede, come on. But someone raised their hand saying, I'll help you. Oh, it's Whitley. Interesting. Much to the shock of the other girls. Whitley thinks to herself, I bet the culprits are members of Team Plasma, and that they know where N is. That's your only reasoning. Whitley, I thought you were being a little bit more selfless than that, but okay. Blake says, I'll go too then. You don't know how many of them there are, so the more of us the better. Hugh chimes in, me too. Roxy tells him, that'll be a big help. Blake calls back to the other girl saying, Yuko, Mayu. Wait, Mayu? Mayu? Oh, that's the Japanese name. So is it Maya then? Or is it Maya? Maya? I'm surprised the name is so, just only slightly different in Japanese. Or in English, I guess I should say. Yuko, Mayu, Yuki, stay with him until the ambulance arrives. Yuki says, will do. While Hugh angrily thinks to himself, finally I found you, Team Plasma. While Whitley just thinks, N. While Blake says, there are too many people. You gotta love that forwardly he chimed in, the more of us the better, while he thinks to himself, too many people, this is gonna complicate things. Okay, so they arrive at some pier, and entering in, Roxy says, oh. Hugh questions, what's wrong, Roxy? Roxy says, the lock's broken. Blake says, is it possible that the people you were planning to meet did this? Roxy says, no, they work in the sewers. They wouldn't need to force the door open. Blake examines, saying, in other words, someone else did this. As they head inside, Roxy explains to the group, the water level is low at this time of year. There are a lot of places to hide, so be careful. Blake then says, by the way, Whitley. Whitley says, what? Blake questions, why did you say you'd help Roxy? Whitley panics, saying, But Hugh tells him, this is no time for idle chatter. But Roxy spots someone, turns it down a corner, saying, who goes there? Suddenly, a whole bunch of sludge is fired at them. Willoughby goes on the defense as I think Blake pulls Hugh out of the way. His duot jumps out of the way. Roxy and Whitley manage to dodge. As Blake peeks all across around the corner. Yep, sure enough, Bronius and Ryoko and the members of the current, I guess, Neo Team Plasma. Is there any kind of differentiation between the previous Team Plasma and this Team Plasma? I don't think there's too much of a difference, but they are in with a whole bunch of muck. Blake thinks to himself, I saw that uniform when I fought Tornadus, and there's Bronius and Ryoko. But Hughes then chimes in, I've been waiting for this moment for 5 long years. Hugh brings out his Vibrava. It is Vibrava, right? Yep, Vibrava, saying, I'm getting really riled up. Well, Blake calls out to Hugh. Hugh tells his Vibrava to use Dragon's Breath, but it doesn't really do much to the muck as they start flooding out of the corner, just going for Hugh and Roxy and Whitley. The kids have to run, and while Hugh hides in a sewer grate or whatever, he just growls in anger. He thinks to himself, Blake and the transfer student are nowhere to be seen. Are they all right? I can't worry about them. And now, I need to focus my anger. I have to concentrate on this impending battle with Team Plasma. Suddenly, a figure comes up behind him, saying, don't move. Hugh thinks to himself, been ambushed from behind. The voice then says, you must be Hugh from the trainer school. Have no fear. Hugh turns, seeing Looker's Krogunk, and because the communicator is in the Krogunk's head, the hat, it sounds like the Krogunk is speaking. Looker says, I'm a police officer. How much do you know about this situation, Hugh? Oh, we then cut over to cold storage, which seems to be shut down now. Oh, cold storage ruined, sorry. Where Colress says, I knew you would be here. I had my grunts searching all over for you. Why didn't you answer my calls? Were you running away because you were scared, Zinzalin? Zinzalin says, long time no see, Hoodman. Or I suppose I should call you Master Colress now. We see that Colress is on a container, and behind Zinzalin is BEM. Colress says, let's forego the formalities. I'm here for one thing and one thing alone. Now tell me about it. Zinzalin's questions tell you? Colress then has BEM use Wonderoo. Zinzalin is then picked up psychically by BEM and brought to eye level with Colress. Colress says, Getz has told me all about you. You haven't cooperated with us over the last 5 years. He then has Zinzalin drawn closer to him as Colress says, so tell me, what do you know about the 3rd dragon-type legendary Pokémon, Kyurem? He says, taking off Zinzalin's glasses. Okay. It's interesting, too, because Zinzalin, he had his own way of doing things. And now that he actually has gained information, it's just like, tell us what you know. But I understand Zinzalin's point of view. It's just like, look, when I actually wanted to do things right by you guys, you kind of dismissed me. So I just do things my own way now. But now that I have actual information, now that you actually want it, it's like, come on. You're not going to give me any kind of credit for anything. I feel like y'all could go sit and spin. All right, and the last chapter of this video is Adventure number 12, Cold Storage Battle. Wait, who's that Pokemon? Kyurem? Part 1? Already? And I know that there's only so many volumes to this storyline, and apparently the last volume has not that many chapters, but they still decided to take up a whole volume. I think it's because X and Y just kind of shoves its way in kind of dramatically towards the end, so okay, I guess we're really kind of ramping things up. Chorus tells Zinzalin, come on, fess up. The dragon and ice type legendary Pokemon Kyurem. Tell me everything you know about it. Zinzalin questions, what are you talking about? Chorus pokes Zinzalin in the face with his goggles, saying, come now, let's not go through this again. Against Getsus's orders, you conducted research on the legendary Pokemon. You entered the Pokemon League without the team's permission. Once there, you kept mumbling that you were cold, even though you were wearing heavy winter clothes. And you were overjoyed at how cold-hearted the boy you manipulated into helping you was. All that was due to your obsession with Kyurem, wasn't it? To prepare you for a time when you would acquire Kyurem and use it. Am I right? Zinzalin pauses and then says, you're half right. Chorus seems like flabbergasted, saying, what do you mean? Zinzalin tells him, I admit that I'm obsessed with Kyurem, but all of those things weren't in preparation to acquire Kyurem. The reason I was so fascinated with Kyurem is because it's a Pokemon that doesn't belong to either side. Chorus just seems a little dejected, saying, here he goes again. All right then, go ahead, explain it to me. Zinzalin shouts, that's exactly the problem. Ever since I was a child, no one has taken my claim seriously. Even after I joined Team Plasma, they blathered on about the Dragon-type Pokemon of Ideals and the Dragon-type Pokemon of Truth, but they showed no interest in a third Dragon-type. The legend has it that when one Dragon has type split into Zekrom and Reshiram, the remaining elements that didn't belong to either of the two coalesced into a third Dragon type, Kyurem. Getsus and the other sages claimed my theories were full of hot air, and that I was too, but they were wrong. Not belonging to either side of the split Pokemon means Kyurem is a part of both sides. But Chorus kicks him in the face, saying, that's enough. I finally get it now, Zinzalin. 2 years ago, you had already captured Kyurem, hadn't you? Zinzalin moves Chorus's foot, saying, that's right, at the giant chasm in the northeastern part of Unova. And have you noticed that your breath is fogging up? Why do you think this cold storage unit is so cool? Oh, holy crap! How did you not notice that? Kyurem looms behind Chorus as Zinzalin says, well, what have you concluded? That cold, calculating look in its eyes reveals its intelligence. It will take the side of neither ideals nor truth. Isn't this the perfect form of a solitary dragon who exists on the fringes and doesn't take sides? I still don't know what you mean by that. It doesn't take sides. Wouldn't that just mean that it'll just do whatever it wants? Wouldn't that just make it mindless? But I mean, y'all are really pontificating a lot here, but I'm not picking up what you're putting down. Chorus says, nice, very nice. However, I'll be taking Kyurem with me. But Zinzalin tells him, you will not. You will pay for mocking me. I'll freeze your body and soul. I'll shatter you and toss you into the river. Okay, murder. Yeah, good to know. Good to know, Zinzalin. But let's face it, buddy. You ain't really the final boss of all this, so I don't know what you're really gonna do here. But Chorus laughs. Splendid. I would enjoy seeing you do that if you can. I gotta tell you, Chorus kind of has an almost Ahsoka vibe to him. Meanwhile, we cut over to the Castelia City sewers, while the members of Team Plasma and their horde of muck have managed to corner both Roxy and Whitley. Roxy says, we're surrounded, and we've been separated from the boys. Whitley thinks to herself, what should I do? Should I tell them I used to be in Team Plasma? Would that prevent a battle? But these people aren't like the Team Plasma members I know. They're scary. The Team Plasma members tell their muck to use acid armor, but Roxy has her Whirlipede use Skunk Shot, which I guess counters it? Roxy questions, do you know who I am? Did you really imagine your moves would work against me? But as Roxy battles the plasma members, which, hey, that's pretty impressive taking on all those members by herself. She ain't a gym leader for nothing. Whitley seems to notice something. Oh, okay. She notices the Carablast as well as, let's see, Darumaka and a Budu in the grasp of several Team Plasma members. Whitley thinks, are those the Pokemon they've liberated? They don't look happy. They're crying. They're afraid. Whitley has a bit of a flashback back to the Team Plasma hideout. She asks the other members, the members who went after Victini specifically, why? The male member says, they keep crying and fighting us. It's rough. Female member says, it can't be helped. They're convinced that humans will harm them. Whitley turns saying these Pokemon won't eat the food we give them. The woman says, they won't eat because you're staring at them, Whitley. You have to quietly leave the room after you place their food down. They'll eat once they trust that we don't mean them any harm. Come on, let's leave them in peace and quiet. Whitley thinks to herself, what should I do? What's the right thing to do, Fungi? I've never participated in a Pokemon liberation before. I don't know how this is supposed to go. Oh, okay. So she's never actually been involved with liberating any Pokemon, so she doesn't know how any of it would really go down. But she then sees Roxy being pushed back by the plasma grunts. Whitley thinks Roxy's attacks aren't as effective as they could be because of the acid armor. At times like this, I'd better... Oh, she has Fungus use Clear Smog, which blasts back the muck. The grunts say, they're tough, run! And they drop all of the Pokemon they liberated, including a Scraggy. Don't remember seeing a Scraggy. Whitley says, huh? She thinks to herself that they abandoned the Pokemon and ran away. Roxy goes up to the Carablast and tends to it, saying, these look like the committee members' Carablast. This looks like the committee members' Carablast. These other Pokemon must have been kidnapped too. Oh, your use of Clear Smog was amazing. Whitley says, what? Oh, we just learned about stat increases and decreases in Mr. Charon's class, which... You know what, that's actually something I should probably use a lot more. I mostly just go for the attacks. Roxy gives a wink saying, you did? It seems the trainer school is excellent academically, eh? But Whitley then gets on her cross communicator. Roxy asking, are you calling the boys? Whitley says, no, Mom. Oh, yeah, I can understand this. Maybe... I think Whitley has a few questions now. We then cut over to Looker, who is watching from a higher position as his Krogunk is, presenting, talking to Hugh. Looker asks, okay, Hugh, now tell me, what do you know? But suddenly he gets a page on his other communicator, on his cross communicator. Blake asks, how's it going, Looker? Did you get any intel out of him? Looker says, Inspector. Unfortunately, he's still communicating with Hugh at the same time, so it sounds like the Krogunk is saying Inspector. Hugh asks, Inspector? Looker says, my boss just called. While Hugh thinks, his boss? He thinks of the freaking... Oh my god, Hugh. No, he thinks of a Toxicroak as the Krogunk's his boss. Looker asks, Hugh, my boss wants to know what you know about all this. He says, what? Why am I a part of your investigation? Looker says, you know exactly why, don't you? He told me. He says, yeah, okay, I know why, but I got nothing to tell your Inspector Toxicroak. And Hugh goes running off. He says, I'm the one who will crush Team Plasma. Even the police won't stand in my way. I won't let them. And Looker tells Blake, that's what he told me, Inspector. What? Where did the name Toxicroak come from? Not a clue. By the way, how are you doing? Blake says, fine. As always, as we see that he's already captured both Bronius and Ryoku? I really have no idea how to say his name. Ryoku, I think? Ryoku? Blake says, I ended up having Hugh, Roxy, and Whitley take care of Team Plasma grunts, but it was too easy. The grunts must have abandoned the Pokemon and escaped. Is it possible all this was a diversion? Both Bronius and Ryoku laugh. Suddenly, fog starts rolling in. Blake turns, saying, it's chill in the air. Bronius says, exactly. Ryoku says, it seems our leader's plan has succeeded. Blake turns, looking down the corridor, feeling the cold chill. He then gets on his communicator saying, Looker, I need you to apprehend Bronius and Ryoku. They're in the sewer pastures to the south, the one closer to you. Looker says, yes, sir. And you? Blake says, I will. head for the relic passage located in the depths of the sewer. He says that he brings out Genesect. I love how he just casually has a Genesect. That's so cool. Friggin' mode of transportation. He hops on his Genesect with Duwatch while Keldeo follows. Friggin' both Genesect and Keldeo. That's wild to me that he has both of these Pokemon in his possession. Oh, and that's the end. Okay, a little bit of information on Whitley, affiliated with the trainer school. 12 years old, as of Adventure 12. Yeah, okay. That's 6. Born in the White Forest, huh? Family member mother, okay, not too much interesting information there. Not a bad series of events. I'm getting a little bit more used to Blake as a main character, just because, I mean, he's alright. I do like that he has a very get-it-done kind of attitude. It's just that, I mean, we haven't had a real kind of two-faced character, and having them on the side of good is an interesting perspective, whereas I'm interested in Whitley's journey too. Having her have the storyline of the main character of the game, but also having that perspective of them being a former Team Plasma member also impacts Hugh's story, because from what I know, the little bit that I've read up on, Hugh's story is mostly him coming to terms with those from Team Plasma who, actually want to do good, and those who are still actually out and out evil. And there's a lot to say about the commentary of a cult mentality. It's good to be part of a group that wants to do good, but you can also get to a point where you don't recognize when your own group is actively doing harm. And that harm can also end up tainting an entire group because of that. Nobody quite looks at the group with clear eyes anymore, because that taint of the evil that was done in the group's name by even just a small fraction of them now just completely takes everything over. But one thing that the manga really tried to point out is that the people of Team Plasma are just that, people. A lot of times, individualism to groups isn't really displayed the way it was for Team Plasma. A lot of times we'd see members of Team Plasma and they'd be these goofy, different looking people to really highlight, no, they're just normal, everyday kind of people who got taken in by Team Plasma's rhetoric, and some of them excelled at honestly kind of doing things the wrong way. I do love the inclusion of Roxy though. I guess because of the fact that we're really trying to highlight the newer gym leaders of Black 2 and White 2, they get to shine a little bit more now. Because Roxy's really gotten to really be a part of things here. And I'm kind of glad. And getting the continuation of Zinzalin's story as well as Colress, though it's very obvious Colress is the bad guy here. Despite the fact that he is more or less just a figurehead so Getsus can work in the background, Colress, he's a little too into what he's doing, which, man, again, I've said it before, it's weird how the games just kind of let Colress off the hook for a lot of what he does. Because it makes more sense that ultimately Colress gets arrested at the end of all of this. Like, I can't imagine either that or he dies. Like, either Colress gets arrested or he dies, or he just escapes. Because I can't imagine you just letting him go scot-free after all of this is done. Because he feels like a villain here. At least in the games, it's just like, okay, he just has this pursuit of knowledge. He's not quite a bad person, his ethics are just a bit askewed. But you go from any other angle and it's just like, no, he's a bad dude doing bad things. But I wonder if Hugh's sister will be more involved with the plotline too. And what does it say about Blake that he just left everyone else to take on Team Plasma? It's kind of hard to tell sometimes, because he shows no concern. It's like, are they going to be alright? I hope they're okay. I have faith that they can get it done. Nothing like that. It's just like, I got a mission. And to find out that Zinzalin had already captured Kyurem all that time ago, that's wild. Because that brings to question, what has he been doing with it all this time? And during the upheaval of the hierarchy of Team Plasma, why didn't Why didn't he use it to try and kind of take control? I do wonder what direction Whitley's story will go, and what will happen when Hugh, if he ever, finds out that she was a former member of Team Plasma. And again, I know that his story is him getting over that, but it could really muck up a lot of things before he finally comes to terms with that, so we'll see. But let me know your thoughts on these chapters in the comment section below. Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the ride. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and hope to see you later. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.